Loving Yourself Fit. Today, I'm joined by Seva Ram Spronk. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on the show. So let me just tell the listeners a little bit about what you do, and then we'll get in depth about it all. So Seva Ram Spronk works with spiritual women to help them step into their highest consciousness, to realize their innate potential. Woo! I'm excited about that. I'm excited about talking about that with you. So she uses the tools of Kundalini Yoga and Yoga Nidra, meditation, breath work, sound healing, and coaching to help them shed the outdated and no longer necessary ways of being and thinking that keep them stuck. So a lot of the stuff you're saying you do is a lot of the stuff I totally believe in. I do it through different means. You do it through yoga and breath work and all this. So I'm super excited to hear all about the opposite side of how you're helping women realize their potential and shed all those silly things that we're thinking sometimes and having come into our bodies, right? So let me know, first of all, I don't know, let's get started with how you found this all, how you found breathwork, yoga, meditation, all the stuff you use to help women with all this. So how did you get into it?
Woo! Awesome. Okay, well, first of all, Megan, I'm so excited to be here because, you said we do the same kind of thing and there's so many ways to feed a cat, right?
Yes.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that we do opposite things.
Well, you know what because I mean? Like you're like, oh, and I'm like, oh. I need more of you. I need more of you in my life. See, I need to be doing all that. I think, the balance is what a lot of what it's all about. So yeah.
Right. Well, you know what, Megan, I think that it's like all about moving energy, and that's what you do. It's just different people need different things, right? So, we all could take a chill pill once in a while, but we all can get some like rah, 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 and each and every single one of us has something to offer and something that's needed, right? So looking forward to connecting with you and your viewers, listeners. So how I got into all this? Well, before I found Kundalini Yoga, I used to be like one of those rah, rah, rah people, right? Like long distance cycling, I cycled from Toronto to Montreal twice. I used to run triathlons. I used to work as a personal trainer and also kinesiologist in physiotherapy setting, right? So I'm really not a stranger to that whole, how would you say, genre or whatever of like strictly physical work, right? And I know that through that, I was looking for that connection to myself on the way deeper level, but at that point I didn't really know how to get to that. So what happens several times is, like when you're not aligned with your gift, the universe has a way of like grabbing you by the head and like shoving your head in a pile of poo, your own poo, right? And say, pay attention. And that's pretty much what happened several times during my lifetime. But the biggest one was when I had my son. And I absolutely couldn't find myself in the role of a mother and the role of a, nurturer and caregiver, because it used to be like me working with people, being surrounded by people and telling them what to do. And all of a sudden I'm here with this like brand new life and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And my body was not recovering. I had some pregnancy complications that, really there was nothing wrong, but I was in pain like all the time. And I developed a postpartum depression, which lasted 5 years. And during that time, of course, my marriage started imploding. And it took a lot of work to get my husband and I, out of that hole. Mm-hmm. But it was one of those things that it's kind of like, okay, now is the time you're gonna like find something that's gonna bring you back back to life, or you're just gonna die. Like I literally felt I was gonna die. So my mother, who still lives in Poland, and I'm like eternally grateful to her for that, she said, well, we really have to straighten you out. I'm going to send you to this energy healer. And at that point, I was like, but, she bought my ticket to Poland, right? So I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to go.
All right.
It's for my vacation, right? So I went, and one of the things that this woman told me was like, well, Kundalini Yoga would be something really good for you. And I've never heard about it before. Well, actually I did, but I actually saw Kundalini yogis in Toronto, because that's where I lived there. And they were like so weird. They wore this like weird clothing and turbans and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, no, thank you. But then, this energy healer woman did her magic, and at that point I had no idea what she did. Now I have more of an idea what she did, and she made me feel so much better. But then when I came back here to Toronto, I started tanking again, and I'm like, well, what do I have to lose? So I got my butt in a Kundalini Yoga class, and after my first practice I was like, oh, what is this weird feeling? And like initially, like from the first practice, like my depression started like lifting off, and I just couldn't believe it. And then, I'm like, okay, I'm good now. And I didn't go back for a couple of weeks, and I started tanking again. And I'm like, well, maybe I should take this stuff seriously. So then it got to the point that like my husband said, whatever you're doing is good. Keep doing it. Quit your job, whatever it is that you need to do, like just do it. So this is literally what I did, and I'm realizing that I was so fortunate to be able to do that. But I quit my job, and I started treating Kundalini Yoga like it was my job. I went to a class every single day, like 6 times a week. And you know how like when you live in Toronto, no matter where you go, it always takes you 40 minutes to get somewhere, or that's how it used to be. So that was like a part-time job, right? Because I had to travel there and back, and classes are hour and a half and all that stuff. So I'm like, this is what I'm doing now. And like within a couple of months, I was involving in teachers training, and now 7 years later I have a level 2 certification, which is really something that I'm very proud of, and other different modalities that have led me to this. So here I am.
That's an amazing story. I love that. And I love that you were able to just focus on the thing that helped you, and that your husband said, focus on that thing. And I think that happens, thankfully, sometimes where people will be taking whatever, a dance class or an exercise class, and their spouse or their family is like, oh my God, whatever you're doing, do more of that, because look how you're flourishing, and look, and it's beautiful when that can happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen for some people, and they have to fight their way into what they want to do. There's that too. But I mean, that's such a beautiful story, and so inspiring also, just to really focus on something that you found that helped you, So the magic of Kundalini Yoga. So tell us what it is exactly, because I've done it a few times, very small amount. I've tried some of your videos. So tell the listeners kind of what it is, what that is, and then we can go into all the things you do and how they help and stuff like that. So just kind of tell us what maybe one class or session might be like what does it entail? Because I think it's a mystery sometimes to some people.
It totally is. And it comes from the fact that not a lot of Westerners realize what yoga actually is, because to a lot of people, yoga is
whatever.
You stretch, or you go or you get really bendy, right?
Right, exactly. And I think that can be kind of intimidating sometimes, because people are like, I can't do all those poses.
Absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, yoga is, the word itself, yoga means connection or a yoke. So you connect your finite nature to your infinite nature, your body and your mind. It's all about connecting yourself to higher power, whatever you believe in, right? So Kundalini Yoga takes a very sort of a concerted, holistic approach to how you do that. Meaning we don't just do postures, meaning asanas. We actually work in each and every single class, like a full class, which normally is 75 to 90 minutes. So it can be a time investment, however, so worthwhile.
Yeah.
So every class will have a pranayam, which is a breath work practice. It will have a physical set called kriya, and it will have relaxation, which is the most important part of the practice.
Yeah.
And then meditation, because all those things that we do up to meditation is actually to prepare us for the meditation, and meditation is how we access that, that higher power, or that higher power that is you, really, because it's in you. All of that stuff is in you. It's not outside of you, right? We were just so used to connect to the idea of God, like I said, higher power before, whatever it is, the word that you like to describe to this, something that's bigger than us. We were kind of conditioned to think that it's outside of us. It's somewhere in heaven, right? But it's actually in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful thought. Yeah. That's awesome. So, and what else do you use? What else do you do? I know you do the gong stuff. I see that on Facebook all the time. Everyone has to check out all your you have so many like resources for people, videos, audio. You have we're going to talk a little later about your program and all that. But what about the sound therapy? What about the breathing? All this stuff. What are the other things that you help people with?
Right. So here is something that I believe, and it's not just me, there's a whole, body of scientific research that will tell you this. But majority of our modern diseases are stress-based.
Mm-hmm.
We are just used to be in stress all the freaking time. And your nervous system never ever gets a chance to recover from that, right? Because of our pace of life, we don't get enough sleep. We very often eat foods that we are allergic to or sensitive to, environmental toxins, all of that kind of stuff, right? So I have really started seeing differences in people and in myself, because, I don't preach this only, I practice on me, and my number one inspiration is the change that I've seen in me. Right. But, I've noticed the most transformation in terms of physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, when you actually take time to build your nervous system up and recharge, rejuvenate, unplug yourself from all this constant stress, right?
Right.
So all of these things are to help you relax. And I'm like, this works for some people. This works for some people. For example, like with breath work. In 3 minutes of breath work, you will already get like noticeable results, blah, 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 in how you feel.
Yeah.
Just 3 minutes of conscious breathing, and then it's not only inhaling and exhaling, but you can add other things to that. But or you have an hour, so you can just veg out with yoga nidra, and 45 minutes of yoga nidra, and that's like yoga nidra is the best thing ever, one of the best things ever, because you just lie down and you listen to whoever's facilitating, and you just sort of go like, I'm not going to say head tripping, but you follow the directions and the sounds of the voice, and that's put in together in a way that it really facilitates really deep relaxation within the body, rejuvenation. So it's been said that 45 minutes of yoga nidra gives you actually benefits of 3 hours of deep sleep.
Oh,
and
I
it's
love
true.
that. I need that.
Right?
I need that. I gotta do that. I'm sold already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. So one thing for me is I know, okay, I need this. I need this. I need this type of thing. And I think a lot of people realize, yes, I should do this. I should do this. How do you think people can actually talk to me here? Because this is my problem. How do you think people can actually, it's just like working out, eating right. When people are like, I need to do that. I need to do that. How do they do it? Because I feel like in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need that. But then why am I not doing it? How do you think you can encourage yourself to kind of okay, let me get on this? And I saw a video of you saying, people don't want to be told to do something, but hey, you should do this. Something like that. Like, I love that. I was like, yeah, like just you realize that it's so amazing and so valuable. And you want everyone to know, like, hey, just do this. And it's going to be like, wow. So how do you think people can kind of maybe slowly get into it? Just slowly try and actually do the thing that they know that they should be doing, right? What do you think?
Well, Meagan, speaking to you, because, you know, you do know that. But you are a queen of building habits, right? You like your daily working out, or however often you work out, like you work out. This is your sacred time. This is what you do. This is what brings you joy. This is what brings you a reason to live, maybe, you know, like seeing those changes in you. It's just so like, woo, right? And it's exactly the same with, you know, with taking time for relaxation and taking time for these other, you know, techniques, right? I'm just going to say something here, which might be a bit of a tangent, but the techniques that I am teaching, they're the techniques which are very accessible to people who feel they have low level of energy. So, you know, people who are dealing with chronic illness, people who are dealing with autoimmune diseases, fibromyalgia, stuff like that. These practices that I'm teaching and practicing, they're practices to build up your energy. So we often feel that we have to do, you know, cardio, and we have to do some weights and blah, 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 blah. And it's true. However, sometimes there will be times that your body cannot tolerate that, right? Yeah. Because of those different underlying things that you might be dealing with. I mean, even like if your stress is very, very, very high, you just crash if you try to put another thing on it, right? So what I offer are those techniques to build up your energy, because you circulate your internal energy in a way that it just sort of revs you up and promotes healing and relaxation, and that gives you energy. However, if you are somebody like Meagan, and she's all like, rah, 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 and I love doing this, and this is so much fun.
It's hard.
It's just another, definitely, but it's just another habit that, you have to sort of
that's how
up,
you
right?
look at it. It's like put that in and maybe like do like a challenge of like every day doing it so it gets into your habit or something like that. Because I feel like for me, I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I need to do that. And it's not that it's unappealing. It's just that it's not what I'm used to. Right. And then I guess putting it into like, okay, every day at this time, I'm going to do this much of this, and maybe starting small, something like that. Because honestly, I feel totally like I need that energy in my life. Like it's totally, if you're one way, you often need the other energy to balance you out a bit. Like, so you're not all, I need to stop drinking coffee. I need to do some yoga. I gotta do the other side of things too, right? So yeah, I think you're right. Just making a habit of it. Getting in that, like you did at the start, right? You went every day, you got that happening, and then you get addicted to it, and then it's like a momentum starts.
Yeah, and even now it's like, I don't always have time to do 1.5 hours of Kundalini Yoga, but I always have time to do 3 minutes of mindful breathing.
That's awesome.
Right?
And it's good to know you can do something in 2 to 3 minutes. That sounds doable.
Exactly.
Start with that.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? One more thing that I want to say about, because, doing like stuff like cardio and weights and stuff, we have tangible results, right? Like our body fat starts, coming down, and muscles are harder and butt is perkier, and that's all good. And it's amazing, right? Back stops hurting so much. And it's amazing benefits. We all need that in our lives. However, with relaxation, it's like what am I doing here? Could I be spending this time a little bit,
It's hard.
productively, right? You want to
No.
sit your bum down and you want to breathe for 3 minutes. And at the same time, you're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to buy milk and cheese
Yeah.
and make lasagna for dinner, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's me.
Because like, especially like women very often have such a
Mm-hmm.
hard time,
Relax.
relaxing
Yeah.
because there's, you have so many things to do. How could you be relaxing,
Mhm. It's hard.
It just, yeah, it's just, you need to shift your mindset a little bit about like, this relaxation is something that I'm doing for myself to help me speed up afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And doing something for yourself and feeling that that's okay, even if it's not. I think that's a big thing right now, and it is coming out a little more. People are talking a little more about it, but actually giving yourself, permission to sit there and do something that, it's even with working out. Sometimes people are like, I don't have time for that. I got to do all these other things. And I'm like, can you not just carve out 20 minutes and do something for yourself for those
Yeah.
20 minutes? And it's the same with this. I think just giving yourself permission to relax. And what you're talking about, you're saying all these chronic illnesses and all this stress and all this stuff is from not relaxing. And that's so true. I totally see that. I see it in me. I see it in others. I see it in the world, right? And we're dealing with so much stress right now. What about that? We're all in a lot of stress. There's a lot of situations in the world that are stressful. So I think this is the time that we need to all be thinking about whatever is going to make you feel good and more relaxed and more joyful is what we need to be doing. Like, even if it's just for a few minutes a day or an hour a day or whatever it is, right? It's crazy out there right now.
Amen to everything that you said. Everything, Meagan, everything.
Yeah. So I think this is what we need at this time. Things like this, things that are just nice for us, right? That make us feel good, that make us feel relaxed and stress-free in this stressful world, right?
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the sound healing.
Yes, we want to hear about the sound healing. Let us know. What is it? So I see you're gonging, you're like, what is it all?
Okay, this is so incredibly exciting because I would kind of put it in the same sort of a sphere that I would put yoga nidra in, which we discussed quite a bit. But it is one of those things that you just lie down and let the sound do its work. So what I personally practice is instrument, you could say, that I play is the gong, or gongs, because I have a few. So basically what we are working with here is the notion that everything is energy. Even matter is energy that, that just oscillates so slowly that it appears solid to us, right? And we are built in that energy, and there's energy in us that often stagnates or doesn't flow in a way that it should be, the way we are sort of, wired innately. And the sound, the vibration of the gong, because when I refer to the sound of the gong, it's not necessarily what comes through your ears. You will actually feel the sound, the vibrations in your whole entire body. So it's sort of like, you get vibrated through this like sound vibration, which is just so incredibly cool. And what it really allows you is to shut your mind off. So for those people who always are like, running all the time in their heads, it's really difficult to shut their brain off for a moment. And the gong, the vibration of the gong, actually, they really help you to disengage from that.
Okay.
So it's not only about, the mind benefit, but it's also what it actually does to your body. It's, we are watery beings, right? Like in our body composition, we are anywhere from, whatever, high 90s to like 50s or whatever % water. And that sound vibrates all of this, like, watery medium that all of your cells sit and all that stuff. Your lymphatic fluid, your immune system, your circulatory system, obviously, that's like all water, right? So, or mostly water. So, you know, the sound really helps you to like get stuff cleansed out. You know, that nervous system gets reset. And like one of my clients described the gong therapy as chiropractic for your brain, because it just, you know, because it just sort of like gives you a reset, and you come back from your session being like, oh, this world looks different.
Yeah.
And I went somewhere else. I don't even know where. And it's like, nice.
That's, you know, really nice. So, yeah. Awesome. Like this, all talking about all this just makes me want to now go do all your stuff and just do it, you know. And it is just in my mind, I'm like, I need to set some time aside, so I'm not like running and like, oh, I don't have time to do that. Because like once you set some time aside, then you can actually, you know, do something. So tell us about your program. Tell us about how we can work with you.
All right. So first of all, I would like to extend an invitation to join me in my self-healing coven sanctuary.
All right.
So 10 days, you can come and try this out for 10 days. No strings attached, I promise. And if you feel like, you know that you are not just a normal kind of lady, and there's, you know, you're sometimes like, am I witchy? This is what I'm doing, or how I'm feeling is a little bit witchy. Then you have to try the self-healing. So basically what it is an online platform that's a membership too. And that is where we not only hang out together as a group, like we have, meetings in a group setting where we are setting things up for, next month, making like intentions or looking at the month past. And we're like, okay, what happened? How are we continue to heal what happened or build on what happened? And then we have fun experts coming in and talking about their area of expertise and how it relates to what we are currently working through. We have pre-recording yoga nidra stuff, so recordings. We have pranayam, which is breathwork practice of the week. We have 40-day meditations. So same meditation for 40 days, which gives you like really revved up benefits, but also meditation of the week where we can do something, smaller. What else? Kundalini power-ups. So Kundalini power-ups are really fun things to do, especially in the morning.
Okay.
So they're specially designed short practices. They're only half an hour where you can really wake yourself up. So you know how you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, and you're like dragging your butt for half a day, even if you have five cups of coffee. Kundalini power ups will wake you up. So yeah. And then once a week, we also have Kundalini Yoga classes, which are 75-minute classes. So that happens once a week. So all of those things are recorded and accessible for you whenever you want. Okay. And they are made, all of this stuff is put together with a woman like you in mind, somebody who runs around like crazy and they have dogs and they have kids and they have cats and husbands and have to cook and blah, 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 right? Yeah. So all of those things are accessible for you. Like, let's say you work out 5 days a week and you take 1 or 2 days off. That would be a perfect time when you have that 1 or 2 days off from your workouts to do, let's say, a session of Kundalini Yoga or Yoga Nidra, right?
Right, yeah.
And or come in and check out the pranayam of the week. Pranayam, again, is breath work, and start learning those like small techniques that you can plug in anywhere in your day to perk yourself up, to, allow yourself to calm down a little bit, or to do something before bed when you need to go to sleep. And it's like, you just can't shut it off. Some breath work could be really helpful. So that's basically what it is.
Awesome. That sounds amazing. That sounds great. So how do people find you? How do they, I see you on Facebook. You do a lot of live things and videos and stuff where people can kind of get a taste of what you do and, you know, want more. So then where do they go at that point? I'll put some links here, but yeah, where do they go after they've seen you on Facebook? They love you. They want more. Where do they go?
Well, I am also on Instagram as well.
Right.
Hit me up on Facebook and everywhere. I'm Seva Ram Spronk pretty much.
Okay.
And as far as I know, there's not a lot of Seva Ram Spronks out there. Feel free to email me. So the email is sevaram@sevaramspronk.com.
Okay.
And, you know, say that, hey, I heard you on Meagan's podcast. I want to try that self-healing coven sanctuary thing. I want to breathe for 3 minutes and feel better. You know, tell me where you came from or how you heard about me, and we'll get it started.
Yeah, I definitely want to get it started with everyone, all the listeners and me. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think just it's really inspiring to hear that, because sometimes we think, like you said, there's some 75-minute classes and it's like, oh, that's a lot for me. But it's really awesome to hear that you can start with as little as like a few minutes, getting into some breathing with you, stuff like that, listening to your sound. What's it called?
Sound bath?
Sorry?
Sound bath?
Yeah.
Sound bath.
Oh, I love how that sounds. Sound bath, you know, listening to things, doing a short thing, getting in there and getting into it, because it's hard sometimes to be like, I'm going to commit to over an hour of this and this and this. I mean, you can just get in there and try some breathing and see how you feel after that. Because I mean, it's amazing to hear that like you felt right away like a changed person when you started all this, right?
Yeah.
And so if people are kind of like on the fence, you know, try a few things, see if you feel a little different. And then, I mean, that's going to just take you to the next level probably, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? There's so much power in allowing ourselves to try different things.
Definitely.
I mean, if I stayed in this mindset of like, Kundalini Yoga, that is so weird. I really like those people look like crazies. You know, I'd be probably dead. Yeah, I seriously think that I would have declined so much. Yeah. Right. And just allowing yourself like go and be silly. Go and like try different things and just, you know, like dancing with you, for example, right? Like people who start belly dancing, like how weird can that feel when you first start out, right?
I know. I love weird things.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And I think no, like we're into the weird things. I think a lot of people are kind of like, well, like we have been at times, kind of like scared and like, oh, am I going to be weird doing that? What is that? Why would I want to get into that? And I think the more kind of experimental weird things you do, the more you're willing to like, let me just try this. Oh my God. Like I tried that weird thing. It was awesome. I love it. I'm addicted. Let me try another thing. And not that these things are weird, but they seem weird sometimes in our mind. Like they seem like a little like, oh, that's not in my normal thing, because a lot of people, belly dance, yoga, whatever, for me, hockey, not in our normal thought process, like not normal to us. And then when you try it, it just, you enter this magical world, right? And possibilities are endless when you keep your mind open to things, I think. So
absolutely.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that as a takeaway. Like try things, be open to it. Try it.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't mean just because you try something doesn't mean you're committing to it forever. You're trying it. Let's see what happens.
Exactly.
Especially when things aren't going right for you, right? Like, especially if you have some illness or stress or you're not able to lose weight. I mean, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I feel like autoimmune diseases, things like this, all these things are due to stress a lot of the time, as we were talking. And a lot of the time people just go the opposite way. Sorry, I was like wrapping up this podcast, but now I got onto this. Let me just ask you this. I think personally, for me, sometimes too, I can feel it. If you push too hard, you're pushing too hard, you're not sleeping, you're working out, all that stress, you're never going to lose the weight, no matter how much you try. And I think sometimes you need that, the relax. So other than just curing disease and fixing all your stress and all that, what do you think about the fitness and weight loss type of thing with this all?
Where do I even start?
I know,
you know what? I was trapped in that for like I kid you not, I don't know if you have to put on a trigger warning, but like I started my bulimic journey when I was 12, and then it spiraled into anorexia, and that continued until in one form or another, you know, until I got pregnant with my son. And then it just, you know, it was one of those things that was contributing to my decline. And then, you know, I was like piling on weight like crazy after I had my son, trying to lose it and whatnot. And in the meantime, discovering that I'm also hypothyroid, meaning my thyroid is not producing enough of the hormone, which that is a, you know, if you suffer from it, then you know. then you know.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then, how my life just sort of unfolded, it was all a journey of like finding my own version of what wellness is for me, you know, and the journey to self-acceptance, no matter what the number on the scale said. So, you know, I had a huge moment of growth when I hit 200 pounds, for example, you know, and not my whole life, but majority of my adult life, I was like about 120. So, you know, that was something, hitting 200 pounds, right? And at that point I had like zero self-compassion for myself. I would be like, for myself and for others, really, because I lived and breathed and I worked in fitness industry, and it was all based on, you know, like, so how much weight would you like to lose, right? And majority of the people who came to the gym, they were like, I want to lose weight. It would be their number one objective, right? Yeah. So we go around thinking like there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me because I have this chronic disease. There's something wrong with me because I can't lose this weight. There's something wrong, blah, 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 blah. But can you like, you know, put that aside and be like, there's nothing wrong with me. I am exactly the way I should be in this point in my life.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the starting point that you look from and listen to your body, what your body wants to tell you.
Yeah.
So, you know, like the kind of growth and the kind of tools that I discovered for myself, right? And, you know, instead of like trying to fix what's wrong with you, just try to find things that make you feel like you.
That's a big one. Big one. Definitely. And I've been through that similar journey here. And focusing on feeling good, and other things will come. When you're feeling good, everything
exactly
will be, you know, in its own way. And seasons, and you know, things are different at different times, right? And accepting that, and just doing things that make you feel you. I love that. Just beautiful right there. So just relax, do what you want to do some fun stuff, try some fun stuff, right? Try some stuff that you haven't tried before. I think that's a really great thing. Just trying something you haven't tried before. Yay, right? Oh,
Absolutely.
so many things here. Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Do you have anything else you want to talk about here, or anything you want to tell the listeners?
Ooh. Oh my goodness. Okay, I tell you this thing. Honor
Yes.
your journey.
Mm-hmm.
Look back where you came from, and sometimes you don't know where you're going, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to see the whole staircase or the whole roads
Yeah.
to know that you are going forward, because that you usually know, right? Just look
Yeah.
back, give yourself acknowledgement for your strength, for your perseverance, give yourself, acknowledgement and some love,
Mm-hmm.
and know that there's nothing wrong with you. There's really
Right.
nothing
Yeah.
wrong with you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a part of this. And yeah, thank you for all your knowledge. And people, check her out, Seva Ram Spronk, on all the socials, right? And drop her a line if you're interested in trying out her program for 10 days.
Amazing. I'm so looking forward
Awesome.
to it. And thank
Yeah.
you, Megan, for having me.
Thank you
'Cause-
so much for being here and sharing all your knowledge. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.